Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to our 2026 Budget Forum and Meet the Candidates Night. I'm Tim Terranova, the proud superintendent of Victor Central School District. And in a minute, Christine Griffin, our assistant superintendent for business, will introduce herself. And we're both going to talk for the first 20 minutes or so about the budget that's coming up. And then the second half of the program is sponsored by our PTSA, and that's, of course, Meet the Candidates Night. So I can't thank the Victor PTSA enough for their efforts and all the things they do for us throughout the year. And thank you for putting on this forum as well. So to start, I just want to talk quickly about what we're going to discuss during the budget presentation piece, certainly our goals for the budget as well as our successes. I'm going to briefly touch on enrollment and staffing. Then we're going to cover the two big areas, expenditures and revenue, our overall budget comparison to other districts, as well as tax rate history, and then the other two parts of the budget vote, which will be the bus proposition and our board candidates, and then we're going to end with the calendar of events between now and May 19th when the vote is. So our goals have remained the same really for the past 3 years. It's a focus on maintaining a comprehensive education that is absolutely stellar across New York State. One of the ways we do that is by focusing on the priorities of our strategic plan, which is a 5-year strategic plan that ultimately ends next year. So we're going to move forward next year with the next strategic plan, but that really focuses on what we do every day. And then from a financial standpoint, we are targeting to make sure we have enough reserves and make sure they're stabilized for future savings, maximize the use of every dollar spent, and generate aid as much as possible for future years, and most importantly, to remain transparent in everything that we do. I want to start by just showing you a little bit of a snippet of the successes of this district. It really starts with our graduation rate. We have an exceptional graduation rate thanks to the amazing staff at Victor. Our graduation rate for students with disabilities specifically has soared from 58% in 2020 to 89% in 2025. Two other celebrations at the secondary level are our expanded opportunities. We have had a significant rise in percentages of students, including those who are economically disadvantaged, that participate in not only dual college enrollment courses, but work study and internships, thanks to the work-based learning program that was started 2 years ago. And in addition to that, we have the highest percentage of kids ever taking AP courses in our district, and record-breaking percentages of kids receiving a 3 or above on the AP exam. So you can see the combination of advanced placement success and participation, along with expanded opportunities, including work-based learning and internships. This doesn't even count just recently being named one of the best schools in the nation for music education, our amazing fine arts opportunities and programs, our business program. We were recently lauded by the state for our STEM programs, both junior high and the high school, certainly our athletics and our robotics program. And everything starts with a foundation, and that's foundational growth around especially literacy and numeracy. And our student performance on New York State ELA and mathematics assessments has continued to show substantial upward trends, which then helps us at the secondary level. So these are just a few of our successes that we've had recently, and really it's a combination of having enough staff and then having the staff being exceptional at what they do. And I can show that through a little bit through the enrollment versus the state aid growth concept in this slide. So the yellow line is our enrollment growth since 2007, and the bar graph is our foundation aid increases. And if you saw this graph before 2007, you would see our enrollment being much less. It had significant growth in the 90s all the way really through 2013. And the big gap between the yellow line and the bar graph is the difference between the aid this district received for many years and the enrollment needs of the district. That's really shows it. It shows a flat increase in aid for many years, and even though enrollment has been stable, it's significantly greater than the aid. That resulted in hundreds of millions of dollars of loss in revenue. It also resulted in this district having to be really lean with its staffing, ultimately in 2020 being the third lowest per pupil expenditure of any district in New York State. Now, we got some good news in 2021. Between 2021 and 2024, you see some significant increases in state aid. That helped support an increasing in staffing that the Board of Education really led through their leadership to try to get enough staffing to support the number of students that we have. So we are close to that number now, and that really occurred between 21 and 2024. And again, that combination of increasing the staff and having exceptional staff members working with kids is what is one of the reasons why you saw the slide before and the successes that we had. Now, recently, you can see the last 2 to 3 years, our state aid increases are much flatter than they were earlier, and that is a concern for us because we want to maintain the staffing that we just added and do so in a good way and in a reasonably financial way. So what are the things that we're doing right now? We're not increasing staff. We're trying to keep the staff that we have. We're optimizing the things that we can do by realigning our staffing levels a bit next year while preserving the integrity of our class size parameters and all existing programs. So for next year's budget, there are no cuts to teachers or staff members. There is no loss in programming, and we are keeping our class sizes within the class size parameters that we've been public about for many years. How we're doing that is we have some slight decrease in enrollment at the elementary level and a slight increase at the junior high level in terms of student enrollment. But because of some strategic staffing that we're doing, we're able to reduce roughly 8 elementary positions because of resignations and retirements and not add the same amount back at the secondary level. So we're actually reducing 8 elementary teaching positions, 1 secondary science teaching position, and we're continuing to evaluate other areas. We are reinvesting in some high impact areas like technology and world language, and we've maintained a budget for what we call 3 bubble positions. One is kindergarten, just because it's difficult to predict kindergarten numbers because of the first group that comes through our school district, and 2 in special ed because of the volatility of numbers in special ed. We want to make sure we protect needs if we have to create those programs or have those, not create the programs, but make sure we have enough sections within those programs. But ultimately, we're slightly reducing staffing next year without cutting people. I'm going to now turn it over to Mrs. Griffin, who's going to talk a bit about expenditures and revenue.
Thank you, Dr. Terranova. So in taking a little deep dive into our expenditure budget for next year, our budget is going up 5.96% over the prior year, and it's $116,316,911. It's going up about $6.5 million. I want to highlight a couple of things on this slide. I know it's a lot of information. Our salaries and benefits, we are a people business. That makes up about 76% of our budget. 29% of our budget alone is our benefits for our staffing. That line in and of itself is going up 8.8%. One of the biggest drivers on that line is our health insurance increases. We have some plans going up 18.5%, some going up 12.5%. It's a little offset by our TRS rate going down down to 8.24% from 9.59. So we do have a little savings on TRS, but it's offset by our increase in health insurance. So that's driving that increase. Another area I want to draw attention to, if you go down a little bit further, is our contractual line. That covers our contracted services outside the district. It would include utilities and services such as that. That's going up $461,000 or 8.68% over the prior year. Tuition is going up $485,000. That's Small percentage of our budget, but it's going up 40%. Those are that's due to increased outside placements for our students with pretty complex needs, and they need outside placements. Our BOCES service line, I know we talk about this at a lot of our budget presentations. That is services that we purchase through BOCES. Those purchases through BOCES make them eligible for BOCES aid in a subsequent school year. That's an expense-based aid that you receive that aid the following year. So as we strategically shift cost into that line, that's why that is going up. So as we buy technology equipment, software services, that line is increasing, but we are also in the next year getting more aid. So in our state aid revenue, even though like our foundation aid's going up 2%, you'll see our aid going up 4% because we have a significant increase in our BOCES aid as well. So I'll show you that on the revenue slide. But that's going up $824,000 next year. And again, mostly driven by our technology. We're also able to this year participate in the Early College Access COSER, which allows us to shift some of the tuition costs for our students taking dual enrollment courses into that, which ultimately at the end of the day will also help our students increase access to those services. Another line on here that deserves a little bit of attention is our interfund transfers. I want to draw attention to it, and I have a couple of slides coming up to talk a little more about it. That interfund transfer revenue is typically, on a normal basis, about $200,000 a year. That covers the local share of our summer programs for our extended school year for our students with disabilities. However, this year we're actually doing another interfund transfer, so that's going up another $100,000. So it makes it look like it's going up 50%, but that $100,000 is for a capital outlay project. It's really not an increase in the budget because it was budgeted previously on another line. However, we're just shifting that down to that line to do a project within the building, and I'll dive into a little more detail on that on the next slide. In New York State, we have the ability to do what we call a capital outlay project. A capital outlay project is a project that you can do within a building, one building. It can't be outside. It has to be within the four walls of a building for $100,000 or less. Has to be completed within one school year, but it's eligible for building aid. Contrary to larger capital projects where you get the building aid over a period of the life of the borrowing that you do for the project, since you're not borrowing for it, you actually get that aid, 100% of that aid the very next year. So Victor Central School District's building aid ratio is 72.7%, so we're getting a $100,000 project done for about 28 cents on the dollar. The project for the 26-27 school year is proposed work here, right here at the junior senior high auditorium on this sound system. It's focused on replacing aging components of the sound system with the digital system processor, amplifier, and wireless microphone system being replaced. Even with our budget going up 5.96%, our per student cost is still one of the lowest in the region when you compare to districts around us. So in the surrounding counties, Victor Central School District is, for the 26-27 school year, is $27,954 per student. And again, it's below the average in the other counties around us. Shifting to take a look at our revenues. As everyone has probably heard in the news, the state has not passed their state budget. So the district on April 16th had to adopt our 26-27 budget with uncertain state aid numbers. We did have some information based on our advocacy, what we think that would be. We do get state aid runs in January, and again, based on the advocacy that we did after that, we have some, we're pretty confident in the figures of these, but we won't have that until we get a state budget. When you take a look at our expenses going up 5.96%, you'll notice that our our revenue is only going up 3.92%. Of our revenue of $110 million that we do have available in the district, 63 million is the tax levy. That's going up 4.29%. That is tax cap compliant. State aid is going up 4.03%. I do like to note, though, that our foundation aid, which is our most unrestricted aid, the portion of that is only going up 2%. Again, the reason that's going up 4% is our expense-based aids. As we shift expenses to, say, BOCES, and we get aid for that stuff the next year, that's very helpful, and that's why that aid is for the state overall is going up 4.03%. But as you notice, with revenue only going up 3.92% and our expenses going up 5.96%, we do have a budget gap that we are filling with the use of appropriated fund balance. Last year, we appropriated $3.6 million. This year, we're appropriating $6 million. That is an increase from the prior year and not something that we want to maintain long-term. So looking forward, we are planning to really look for additional revenue sources to help support the budget, but also looking at ways to shift expenditures. Budget to budget, again, we looked at the 5.96 budget to budget, levy to levy is 4.96, but while you have that, our tax rate projected is only to go up 10 cents or 0.78%. That number is not definite. This assessments aren't done until June, so once we have that, the board will adopt the final tax rates in August, prior to the tax bills going out. So that 10-cent increase, if you look at a $300,000 house, for example, over the course of a year, that tax bill will go up $30. Or $2.50 a month. These estimates do not include any STAR exemptions or credits. And again, the rate is set in August, so these could change. It could go up, it could go down.
I only get 2 slides. So similar to the per pupil expenditure, we have the tax rate comparison as well, and you can see that the Victor Central School District, both before the vote on May 19th and after, even when you factor in the potential 10-cent increase in the rate, we have a lower tax rate than the average rates for school districts in Ontario, Monroe, and Wayne County, similar again to the per pupil expenditure. And then this slide is just a historical look at the tax rate from early 2000s to present, and you'll see a trend of decreasing rates where the highest was around $20 per 1,000 assessed value, and we're looking at $12.90 roughly per 1,000 coming up. Now that doesn't mean, and we're not trying to say that your taxes have gone down during that time because housing prices have increased. But ultimately, when you compare the price of a home and look at your price of your home and you look at rates, it's cheaper to have $12.93 than $20 per 1,000. And that's something that is unique for the Victor Central School District, and we want to continue to promote.
Also on the ballot this year, we do this every year. We have a proposition for our bus purchases. This is in keeping with our bus fleet replacement cycle to enhance safety for transporting our students. Next year, we're purchasing 8 diesel buses in the amount of $1.5 million. Also, you will see on the ballot, there are 2 open seats on the Board of Education. The candidates for these seats are Brian Adams, who is an incumbent, Christopher Parks, also an incumbent, and James Sawyer. We have plenty of opportunities for the community. If you're not able to view this tonight, we've spoken several locations within the community, but we have more coming up. May 11th, we will be at the Victortown Board meeting at 7 o'clock presenting. And again, tonight is May 5th for our budget hearing. After this, you will have an opportunity to meet the candidates. On Tuesday, May 12th, there will be voter registration in district office for those people who are not already registered to vote in the general elections. Also, this culminates on Tuesday, May 19th from 6 to 9 o'clock at the Early Childhood School Boardroom will be the budget vote and the Board of Education election. As always, if anybody has any questions in regards to the budget, and anything's not clear in the presentation, or they want further details, you can reach out to the superintendent at terranovat@victorschools.org. We also have all of this information on our website, along with areas for frequently asked questions.
So in summary, for the budget for next year, we are not cutting staff or laying people off. We are not cutting educational programming, and we are maintaining the class size parameters that we've been maintaining over the past several years. We are in a stabilizing phase of staffing right now compared to the increased staffing between 21 and 24. And even with that increased staffing and the need to keep that staff, we still are an extremely efficiently run district compared to our neighbors when looking at per pupil expenditure and tax rates. In addition to that, we are in a challenging situation. Our gap, as Christine talked about, is increasing. We're covering that with our fund balance. Every year, we've strategically tried to budget 3 to 5% of the total budget for what we call contingency, to have money saved for either emergencies or to put in reserves. We're going to be utilizing a larger portion of that to appropriate to next year, and we've got to find ways to work together with the community to look for alternative ways for revenue and continue to save on expenses so that we can continue to keep this awesome program together and really stabilize our funding. So with that, one other thing, thanks to our communications office and Kim Dole and Liz Welch, our budget newsletter will be in the mail, I believe, in the next couple days, and you should be receiving the budget newsletter somewhere between May 8th and May 13th. That's also packed full of information. And like Christine said, please reach out to us if you have any questions. Does anyone have any questions in the audience tonight? Okay. Well, we appreciate your time, and now we're going to turn it over to our wonderful PTSA and meet the candidates tonight. Thank you.
Ooh. Do I just start? All right. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for being here tonight. My name is Jenny Carroll. I'm the PTSA president, and on behalf of the PTSA, we're so glad you could join us for this important opportunity to hear from our candidates running for the Board of Education this evening. The goal of tonight is to give our community a chance to hear and learn more about each candidate, their perspectives, and how they would serve our district. A few quick notes before we begin this evening. Each candidate will have time to introduce themselves. We will then move into a series of questions. We will rotate with each answer first, and you'll each have the chance to answer each question. We will ask that everyone remain respectful and allow each candidate the time to share their thoughts. To help us stay on time, we'll be keeping responses to approximately 2 minutes. This is a nonpartisan event focused on information and understanding so that all of you can make an informed decision when you vote on Tuesday, May 19th. So let's begin by welcoming our candidates this evening. Each candidate will now have 2 minutes to introduce themselves, starting with Brian Adams.
Thank you. First, I just want to say happy Cinco de Mayo. I've got a taco pasta bake waiting at home. But more importantly, today is National Teacher Appreciation Day. So I want to say thank you to all the wonderful instructors and educators who serve our district, serve my children every single day. Got to meet with some of those folks earlier today with the VTA, so that was wonderful. And it's Teacher Appreciation Week for the entire week as well. So I'm newly minted Dr. Brian Adams. That was quite a task to go through. I'm going to be actually moving to Hobart and William Smith from Nazareth University, so I'll be taking on the School of Management's marketing program. I'm very passionate about K-12 as it leads into university, so that's a little bit about my background in education. As I said, I have 2 daughters in the district, one as a freshman, another in 6th grade. Really excited to continue this work on the Board of Education, both to support them and all of the students in our entire district. Is there anything else you want me to cover?
Yep.
Is that pretty good?
Appreciate it, Brian. Thank
It's
you.
me in a nutshell.
Christopher.
My name is Christopher Parks. First off, congratulations, Dr.
Thank you.
Adams.
Yes,
That's a big
thank you,
deal.
Doctor.
That's outstanding. And again, thank you to the VTA, because we had an opportunity today to speak with the faculty and the staff and the folks who are the boots on the grounds and driving the district. My background in education is I am a teacher, an administrator, and a coach. That is my lifelong profession. The opportunity to serve the district for the past several years is literally a gift, because what happens in this community is remarkable, and what's happened here over the years through the ups and downs with the state, with the world, the Victor Central School District has emerged as, in my opinion, the penultimate district, and we are a destination district because of all the work of the faculty, the staff, the administration, and the community partnership, which is a wonderful, wonderful place to be and a testimony to the people in this community. My wife and I, we built here on purpose because we wanted to be in Victor. We have 4 children. My wife teaches in the district, and there's really no better place to be than Victor.
Thank you, Christopher. Welcome, James.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, this is working. Okay, cool. Congratulations, Brian. I know I gave him a high five today when I saw him on the doctorate. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Christopher. And yeah, thank you to the teachers. It was nice meeting with them today. I am James Sowers. I am the, obviously the new face sitting up here. I am Victor, class of 2002. Did move away for a little while and move back, and purposely moved back, actually, to your point, Christopher. I agree on that. Professionally, I am a senior director of university advancement at the University of Rochester, where I do work with major gifts and our higher level donors there at the university within our nation's capital, and our alumni base. I'm also in the doctorate program at the Warner School of Education for K-12 school district leadership and school building leadership. Also have my bachelor's in business prior to that from Madai many, many years ago. Trying to think what else makes me in a nutshell. I'm not overly exciting. I do have a very apparently not. No, my family is still here in the Victor community as well. I think that this school district is absolutely wonderful. I think that what we do from a perspective on academics to arts and athletics is phenomenal. In my role at University of Rochester, I get the chance to travel around the country and see many districts, and I have to say that Victor is a district that I have a real passion for when it comes to the comparison, especially to, I look at like Virginia, where I'm often at, it's second to none. So I'm excited to be here tonight. I absolutely love being here. 2 great gentlemen and a great crowd. I'm really happy to be here.
Thank you. We appreciate you being here tonight. We will now move into the questions for this evening. Brian, we'll start with you. Why are you running for the Victor Central School District Board of Education, and what perspective or experience would you bring to the role?
Yeah, as an incumbent, I've served the last 3 years on a term, and I think that's obviously given me a unique perspective from the inside, but I also have tried to maintain my connection with being a dad in the district as well by volunteering for as much stuff as I can do outside of my official role. And so in doing that, I'm fortunate to have both perspectives on the district, and I hear a lot of different things from my kids, from the kids that they interact with, from the faculty and staff that I get to work with on certain volunteer endeavors, and so that continues to reinforce my passion for the district in that role, in that capacity as a father. On the Board of Ed, I feel like 3 years is, in my opinion, not quite enough to do the work and see it through. We've done a lot of strategic planning. We have a lot of projects that are going forward, specifically with the work on the capital project. The capital overlay that we saw now is wonderful. We'll see some enhancements to the growing and burgeoning music, theater and arts program that we have here, which I'm passionate about and want to keep supporting. But most importantly, I feel like the district is in a position right now, and we saw this with the budget, where there's some headwinds hitting pretty hard. And given my background in business and economics and my expertise in that area, I want to keep serving on the committees. For example, I'm on audit committee, where I can continue to help us navigate through some of those tough times and then work with some of our community partners as well. I'm really excited that we have that program going, and I know, James, you've been involved in that program too, so I'm really excited to have your perspective up to the board to make those decisions. But am I at time? I'm a college professor, you know, I can ramble on for about 75 minutes now. I'll wrap it up. So essentially what I'm saying is I feel like we've done good work. We have some really important things coming on the horizon, and I want to continue doing that work over the next 3 years.
Thank you. Christopher?
Yes, so the last 3 terms, we have, to Brian's point, Dr. Adams' point, I just like saying that now, is there have been so many things that have been accomplished. I mean, we've had to override the tax cap in some lean years where we were facing the reduction of programming and offerings for our students, and whether through activities and student athletics. And to Dr. Adams' point about the headwinds, in a simple statement, there is still work to be done. And it's been a privilege and an honor, just because education is my life's passion, to be able to serve the community and to be in those difficult meetings that we've had over the years where we're facing some real challenges. And I'm proud to say, with all the members of the board that I've served with over the years, we've successfully navigated those waters. And I think this is a time where, as a district, knowing what's lying ahead, knowing what we've managed to work through so far, this is where we plant our guide on and say we will be steadfast and we will move through the next challenge, as Dr. Terranova and Mrs. Griffin highlighted in the budget. We know, I mean, the last time the budget was on time for New York State, yes, just so noted. I don't think any of us can recall the last time that happened. So having lived through those challenges, I just feel it's my duty, it's my privilege to continue that work with the members of the board if the community would so determine to re-elect me. And there's work to be done, and I also see it as Brian. I'm a father in the district. I'm the spouse of a district employee. And Mr. DeLucia, after the first time I ran for the board, was unsuccessful, was not elected. And I remember very, very clearly Mr. DeLucia, I ran into him in Aldi, and he simply told me, "I really hope you run again." And so I did, and I would say thank you for that, because I got elected the next year. So there's work to be done, and I'm going to see it through because my father told me that's what you do.
Thank you, Christopher. I appreciate that perspective.
James' turn?
And
Okay.
James, it's your
Yeah,
turn.
thank you. So one of the things that I wanted to say, the reason I'm running for the Board of Education is, just to be clear, I'm not a newcomer to boards of education. I served in the Greece Central School District on the Board of Education, and I chaired multiple of their multiple financial committees there on at that district. There we had a significant budget deficit. That's part of the reason I am running. I do serve on the committee here to find alternative revenue sources for the school district and to make up that gap so the taxpayers are not responsible for that. There we managed a budget of $348 million. The gap was significant. We made it work, and we met that gap through alternative revenue sources. I'm also running for the Board of Education because this is my alma mater. I love this community. On top of that, I do believe significantly that public education plays a significant role in our communities. For me, it shaped who I am. I wouldn't be where I am without public education and the teachers here at Victor Schools. There's a teacher that I honor all the time, and I'll say it publicly. Mrs. Babette Huber changed my life. I will never forget her and what she did for me. I have to say, I believe that public education in the value that it has, it does shape our communities, and every student deserves to learn in an environment where they feel supported and included and safe. That's exactly why I succeeded as a student. So the reason I'm running for the board is to be an advocate for our students, but also our taxpayer, and continue to be a good steward for our taxpayers. I've been there, I've done that, I did it in Greece, and I plan to do it here in Victor if the voters allow me to. Thank you.
Thank you, James. Our next question is, and we'll start with Christopher for this one. Board decisions are made as a group. How do you approach situations where there are differing opinions, and how do you work towards a consensus?
Sure. I'm going to quote my dad: leave your ego at the door and check your emotion into the front seat. And you walk into it knowing we're all trying to achieve the same thing, which is to support our students and our faculty, staff, and admin. And I can say, having done this a number of years, not as seasoned as Mr. DeLucia, that we've always made it work. We've had an extremely high-functioning board for a long time, and that's really it's a blessing to have experienced that. But it's that simple. You know that there is no alternative agenda. There is no animosity. There is no, well, I feel what is best for the students and for the district. And to piggyback on what you had just said, James, too, I believe the school district, the school, is the heart and the life of the entire community. And so by serving the students and the staff here, we are serving the entire community. And I've really not had any concerns over the years about being able to come to a decision that we walk out of that room knowing we'll vet different opinions and perspectives, and that's what you want, because you don't want 7 people agreeing on the same thing all the time. You want people to say, well, you know what, I'm going to challenge you on that because of this. This is what I'm thinking. And then you get that great dialogue, and ultimately you end up with the best decision. Does that answer your question?
Great, thank you.
Okay.
James.
Thank you. Yeah, I actually agree with a lot of what Christopher said there. I do believe in a collaborative approach. One of the things that I try to do in maintaining my personal values of understanding that there's a diverse world is, frankly, understanding that people come from all walks of life and different experiences and different thoughts, and just how those thoughts have been formulated. So one of the things that I actually like is sometimes I think that open discussion, like to your point, Christopher, is a really healthy thing for a board and for discussion points. And I think that healthy, I call it healthy, I don't, for lack of a better term, healthy conflict, but healthy discussion is really good for everything that we do. You have to remember that we've got a ton of stakeholders at place, or at the end of our day of decisions. And so when I was in Greece, I always approached it, and we had conflict at times on our board, but I have to say, I always approached it very cool, level-headed, calm, understanding that people do have different thoughts and different process and their thinking. And just also, I think the other thing too, is I think about the collaboration. you know, in my work day to day, I deal with very differing opinions and thoughts as I travel, and I think it's just given me an appreciation to be, frankly, open-minded to other thoughts. I admit 10 years ago, I was always like, no, this is my way, but no, I'm very different in that, and I just try to approach it that we're human, and everybody has a very human element to their thoughts and to their experiences, so I like that. I like discussion, but I just try to remember my baseline is that we're all people and we're all in this together, like you said, Christopher, with the same thought of it. It's for our schools and for our students and our stakeholders, but we are human, and we all have diverse backgrounds. That's what I try to remember.
Appreciate it. Thank you. And Brian?
Yeah, I would agree with what's been said here and want to add that I actually enjoy when we disagree. I think it means we're doing the work of the district, and we're doing it with passion, and we're doing it with purpose. And I think we've had a couple of Board of Education meetings where we've been openly said to one another, I disagree with you. And then we've explained why we have a disagreement, and we get to a common ground. And that process allows us to work it out so that we can serve the district as a whole. But I also think, too, we're fortunate to serve every single day. Future graduates are going to go on and doing incredible things. I mean, I served on the Graduates with Distinction Committee, and we were able to welcome a graduate with distinction, former Lieutenant General Kirk Pierce, who has gone on and done incredible things in the country, and amazing, and here I am handing an award thinking this is my purpose and my why. This is why I serve, this is why I have passion, this is why I'm working with folks who have different backgrounds, because in the end, we're going to be creating future alums like Kirk. And so that passion has limits, because we have to have that end purpose in mind so that it doesn't become a continuous disagreement, but it becomes an area where we make sure we're heard and seen and felt, right? That's teamwork. And any good high-functioning team, as Dr. Parks said earlier, is going to be able to find ways to check that ego and check that emotion. I like passion. I've brought passion. I think my fellow Board of Education members can attest to that. But it means that we care deeply for what we do here in the district. And I'm getting the 2-minute warning.
Perfect. Thank you, Brian.
That was great teamwork and collaboration that we had, right? Did you see that? Conflict resolution, yeah.
All right, James, going to start with you with this next question. Given the current realities our district is navigating, how would you approach balancing the budget while still supporting strong academic programs and student services?
That's a good. There we go. That's a good question. So one of the things that I like to look at from a resources standpoint, I look at our budgets as a resource, resources allocation, and that's how I've always approached it. Really looking at the district resources down to the building resources, understanding that we don't necessarily need to make cuts all the time. What we did in Greece was we actually did not cut much. We trimmed some things that needed to just be trimmed, things that were probably a little wasteful at times. For instance, we were buying excess amounts of paper products that were just sitting. So we looked at common sense approaches to how we made cuts within that district. We also, at that point, so it didn't hit the classrooms and hit our students, was we realigned what we were thinking about and really worked with our administrators. We worked with our building level principals, we worked with our assistant principals, and we worked with our teacher leaders on what was needed and what wasn't. It was basically what I'm trying to get at. It was a collaborative approach. Really understanding how to make up a gap, though, right? Realigning resources. We did not cut anything. I think, and I have to give credit to this budget, that there's no staffing cuts in this budget. I give a lot of credit to that. But I would also say this, that we're headed towards something where we need to start realigning and thinking about different revenue streams. And that's really where my experience beyond just the Greece Central Schools and previous board work lends itself, is that I understand how to bring alternative revenue sources in. I do it every day. The university has also had cuts, and we need to go back and work with our chairs on finding alternative sources. So, Jenny, to your point, Jenny, right? Yes, yep, Jenny, to your point, I wasn't sure if you want Jennifer or Jenny. So to your point, or to your question, I think it's just a matter of sitting down, being responsible, reallocating and realigning our priorities at times, but understanding, perfect, there's the warning, understanding that our students remain centered of everything that we do, and our teachers, our building level. Thank you, thank you.
No, I have it. Thank you very
Great.
much. So a couple things. One, I didn't mention this earlier, but this past year I've been serving as an interim chair for our department, which comes with it some of the stuff that James was mentioning a moment ago, which is meeting with donors and looking for opportunities to get gifts, naming opportunities, things like that. And it's a process. It's a very long process. It could be very fruitful, or it could be a continuous stewardship that could take many, many years. And I think that's a good, very long-term strategy, but in the short run, we've got two budget things that we're looking at. We got OpEx, which is how we operate, and then we have CapEx, which is how we do improvements. In this particular case, we've been very good and strategic about our reserves carrying over so that we can then release those reserves to do capital improvements. That continues to maintain the excellence in Victor that we want to see going forward for many years. In my opinion, the stewardship, the gifts, looking for folks that can support us financially, help with that type of improvement. With OpEx, I think we need to continue with our advocacy work that some of my Board of Education members have really pushed forward with regard to state level, local level. One of the things that our neighbors in Monroe County benefits from is sales tax. And so that absolutely helps offset a lot of the operational expenditures and gets to James' point a moment ago, which is trying to keep our taxes somewhat controlled. Now, I will say I'm proud of the fact that we've been able to keep the tax rate steady because we've had substantial growth here, but the CapEx improvements for us have helped keep up with that growth because we're going to start to see some capacity issues at the higher level with students coming through with enrollment. So kind of to wrap it up, and I'm getting the 2 minutes here because I keep on going on, balancing the budget is really being strategic about the short run and the long-term play as well.
Thank you. Perfect. Christopher.
What's that? So to the OpEx and CapEx point right there, with it all goes back to being aligned with the strategic plan. And as far as culture, learning and instruction, and the student supports and the outcomes. So being mindful of those things, and as a board, we've successfully managed those reserves over the years. I'm very proud of the work that the board has done in that regard, but we're staring at some rough times ahead. To James's point, you look at alternative revenue streams, which again, I applaud the board for forming that group. James, thank you for being a part of that group on the community outreach. And Dr. Turnover, when he presented and the presentations on the budgets previous to that, have all talked about efficiencies. And again, very proud, there aren't reductions. And so to use your point of the alignment of things, of understanding where we are very effective and efficient in our use of money in OpEx and CapEx, and looking at ourselves in the mirror and going, we're not that good right here, so this is an area that we have to focus on. One of those identifiable areas has been how are we going to find alternate revenue, and how are we going to keep the programming and not lose staffing or change class sizes based on it. It's been a focal point, it's going to continue to be a focal point, and honestly, the alternative revenue stream is going to be the linchpin moving forward because we cannot count on the state for the sales tax piece. I had a conversation today with the VTA. I know that's not a battle that we've won, but we only lose it if we stop fighting for it, and that is millions of dollars that our counterpart districts receive where we're in the hundreds of thousands, the low end. So that's a huge chunk, which I think we just keep going after, and we try to partner with both the town and both the town of Farmington, also with Victor and the county, and just kind of see what can we do, because that's going to be a big one.
Yeah.
That's my bell.
That's your bell. Thank you. We're going to move on to student support, and we'll start with Brian for this question. How should the district balance supporting high-achieving students those who need additional academic support, and students with social emotional needs.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think as we saw with the presentation previously, that we have success in high achieving students in AP, and we see the marks going up where they're earning college credit, and I think we're making a lot of strides there, and we're intentional about reviewing the data and then analyzing that excellence. But we're also looking at data that's disaggregated or put into certain groups that allow us to observe and monitor folks who would require, students who would require additional support. And then the SEL part is actually woven into our entire strategy overall. In fact, we've made strides over the years to bring staff into the district who specifically support those initiatives. I know from the VASA level all the way down to support staff that everyone feels it. So part of it is really continuously looking at our budget, looking at what opportunities we have, knowing that we have headwinds, and trying to make strategic decisions about how to reallocate where necessary. I think one of the areas that we've been able to support SEL is the renovation of the Student Learning Center. That's allowed us to have students go to a specific area to get specialized needs. That hopefully we continue to make those types of investments over the years. And as we look at some of these other advocacy and financial support services, hopefully we can leverage additional resources outside of the district to help support that. I know we have a good partnership with Nazareth University, for example, with the program that works with students. I forget the name. The name is slipping my mind right now, but that works with students. It's Life Prep. So that's programs like that are important for us to keep continuing and putting investment in. But again, it all comes down to looking at our budget and being strategic about how we do it.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, there's the bell.
Thank you.
Would you just repeat it? That question?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
How should the district balance supporting high-achieving students, those who need additional academic support, and students with social emotional needs?
So one, it's part of the strategic plan and the student supports and services and the outcomes. And one of the things I believe you need to do, you have multiple things happening. First off, you have to be fiscally responsible, period, at the end of the day, because we want to be able to continue to support the students and the staff. And if we're not being fiscally responsible, we're going to find ourselves in a bad spot within a year. So you have to think long-term as well. It's been a focal point of the budget just as far as what student services supports have been added in both special ed related services, MTSS, over the past few budgets, that we've been more robust in what we've been able to provide for students. That's in partnership with the fact the people you really need to ask to support, whether you're talking about APs, whether you're talking about social emotional supports, you need to talk to the teachers and the staff. They know the students the best. And I think that it's incumbent upon us as a district to look to the people who are the boots on the ground, who are the experts with kids. And they're in the classrooms. They're on the fields. They're, in the meeting rooms. They are the ones, I think, who need to have a direct voice that we are listening to, that district admin is listening to, and that, to go back about being collaborative, I think that's where we have to be the most collaborative, and the student has to have a voice in that as well. Obviously, it's going to be age dependent of what they can express and their understanding of the situation, but you have to involve the teachers, and you have to make certain that the student feels empowered as well, that they are a part of telling us what they need or helping us to identify what they need.
Great. Thank you, Christopher. James.
Okay, yep, it's on. So one of the downsides to going third is all of the great ideas have been taken, but I have to say I do agree with the two gentlemen to the right of me. I really like the point on empowerment and empowering the teachers and understanding that and having those discussions. One of my general rules as a board member is always that I defer to the educators on education. I am not an educator. I am, if anything, administrator, right, and business at the university, right? I'm not an educator. So I do defer to our education partners on that. The teachers, I talked about that today as well, that teachers need to feel empowered. They need to feel like they are being supported. One of the things that I can tell you is, especially around the social emotional learning aspects, is, I've been through the training myself. My family's been foster parents. We've been there, understand the social emotional needs and the trauma-informed education that needs to be taken care of sometimes. And I have to tell you, I've had teachers in other districts that have handled it perfectly, and I mean that. So I think empowering the teachers is crucial. I also agree with balancing financials with that, providing resources, but also to Christopher, your point, it is part of the strategic plan. And I think that, I'll be honest, I think that the district, I think that truthfully, I don't have children in the district right now, but I can tell you that my friends who do have really not had issues with that. But the high achieving students, I think it's important real quick. We need to focus on the high achieving students. Sometimes you absolutely lose those high achieving students. And when we're focusing sometimes on the students, frankly, like myself, that were the ones who needed additional support sometimes coming up, the students that actually excel and are high achieving, we lose them sometimes because we're not focusing so much on them. So I would say the balancing act, to your point, Christopher, that balancing act is important, and I think that's really crucial, is to remember that we do have those high achieving students that we can't forget too.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Christopher, going to start with you with this next question. How will you actively seek out and listen to feedback from a wide range of community members, including those who may not typically attend meetings?
Well, looking out into the audience of tens of people, that's a challenge that's existed always for all the boards. Just because, nobody's circling their calendar going, whoo, let's plan a great date night, let's have dinner, cancel the movie, let's go to the board meeting. So that's a challenge, I think, for all boards, but it doesn't mean that the people don't care or that they're busy with their lives. And so, again, it's incumbent upon us to seek those opportunities out, whether it's volunteering in the community beyond volunteering as a board member. But, I do it with talks with the neighbors, talking with parents and student athletes at youth sports. So I work in a school, and if we play against a Victor team, I literally will just hold court in between games and say, hey, talk to me about the bathrooms in the high school. Talk to me about, hey, what's the AP offerings? And you seek those out actively because you want to hear that voice. It means being available when you're in Aldi or Wegmans or Target or Walmart or insert big box store. It just means being accessible. When you sign up to volunteer on a board, you sign up for basically what question do you have? A lot of times it'll be, okay, I'm going to put you in touch with, this is the appropriate person within the district. But if it's actively making a choice to ask questions of people, or when you see somebody, when you're on campus, not just oh, hey, how's it going? Well, what are they going to say? Oh, great, okay, good. Ask them about, hey, what are your classes like? What are, depending on who it is, ask them some pointed questions, and then be ready to sit back and listen to any answer that they give you, so that they know that they're heard and they're supported. And it's probably not convenient for them to be able to carve out 2 hours on a Thursday night.
Perfect. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, I'm
James.
sorry. Yep, sorry. You'd think I would be used to the order by now. So one of the things that I like to do as a board member is, to Christopher's point, I do like to go out and seek it. I like to have, frankly, tough conversations at times. I like to hear the good, the bad, and I never say the ugly because I think the bad is there too, but I just like to hear it. I like to have the full conversations with people. I go out to my neighbors. I have, my friends will tell you I am not shy by any stretch. So I have no problem going up to people and telling them who I am, and what I'm doing here. I believe in also one of the things that I did do in Greece was I would absolutely do listening tours. I have no problem doing that. The one thing I would do, though, is I want you to know, and I would say this to hopefully my fellow board members down the road, is I always do report back to the board. It's not a private thing. I invite everybody. It's something that one of my good friends in the RCSD school board taught me, and it seems to really work well. The other thing, too, that I like to do as far as getting the board's information out there is I am a big utilizer of social media. I use primarily my LinkedIn, but my Facebook as well. I am not on other ones, but I use Facebook and LinkedIn. And I like to also spread the word via social media where people are at. I just meet people where they're at. I think it's easier sometimes for people to read a post or read an answer on their instant messenger, well, that's an old term, Facebook Messenger, than sometimes just having the conversation in the middle of, tops or something like that. But to Christopher's point, I like to seek it out.
Thank you.
Can I just hear the question again? I just want to make sure. I think it's actively seek feedback. Was there another component to it?
How will you actively seek out and listen to feedback from a wide range of community members, including those who may not typically attend meetings?
Yeah, so Dr. Parks had mentioned volunteering. So one thing that I really enjoy doing is getting involved in youth sports, also with our extracurricular programs here in music and theater. I like to volunteer whenever I can for class outings. That's actually a really good casual way to just sort of hear what's going on. In many respects, people will come to you and they will share some of their thoughts. And I think to James' point earlier, it's definitely a passive listening tour. People seem to have no problem finding me to share their thoughts, which I think is a testament to my approachability. However, I'm very respectful of the fact that we're a team of 8. And so any conversations that I have with folks who are actively sharing or haven't made it to a board meeting and sometimes make assumptions about what we do with the Board of Education, I find I'm spending time educating them on the role, which is really related to policy and balancing the budget. And then the day-to-day operations are really left best served to the folks who work in the district. And that's really the point I think that Dr. Parks is making with regard to referring them to people here in the district. I do want to say that having students on the Board of Education right now has been critical. That's been one way that we've been able to hear both their perspective as board members, but also they bring tremendous amount of information that right sizes or puts things in perspective for us in ways that I can't even get my 14-year-old to share with me at the dinner table. So I think that's been really valuable to hear from the students, frankly, who rarely, if at all, go to the Board of Education meetings. And then we do these climate surveys as well, where we can hear what's going on across the district for those employees that are here and know what's important to them and use that data-informed approach to move forward with some of our decision-making as a group. Yeah, I got the 2 fingers there, and I lost my name tag.
Thank you. I appreciate the different viewpoints shared. James, we're going to move to a board and superintendent relationship question. How do you view the relationship between the Board of Education and the superintendent? And what does an effective partnership look like to you?
Oh, that's a great question. So this is something I'm actually incredibly passionate about. The music will probably play. So I really view the superintendent and the board relationship as a true partnership. I've never approached it in Greece. I never approached it like this, where the superintendent was our report or anything like that. The superintendent is our partner. It's built on trust. It's built on communication. It's built on, frankly, reputation and track record as well. I would say this, that I am always a steadfast, in public supporter of our superintendent. If I have conflict or if I have need something resolved behind closed doors, I typically will do that behind closed doors so we can come out in a more resolved way. It's rare that I don't agree all the time with the superintendent, but that's how I view it. I would even take it a step further beyond just the superintendent. I'd say the superintendent's cabinet is incredibly important as well. I do this as a manager. I do this as I never want people to feel like they can't be open and honest. It's built on trust. The superintendent is the day-to-day CEO of this district, and you've got to be able to trust that superintendent and the cabinet. You've got to be able to trust their vision, their mission, and as a board, we've got to be able to get behind that superintendent. I am 100% passionate about the relationship that boards have. Trust me, I have seen districts where the superintendent and the board do not see eye to eye, and it is not pleasant. And ultimately, the students, the teachers, and the stakeholders pay for that. I will never, as a board member, allow myself to get like that, and I will always bring the group and call it out if I sense that we're starting to get like that, although I don't think this board would get like that. But I know they wouldn't actually, but I've seen that. I've seen the opposite. It is just not something I can stand for. I absolutely support a healthy, open, trust-built relationship with the superintendent of schools and the cabinet.
Thank you. Brian?
Yeah, I just to go back to the previous question, I said team of 8 because that's really kind of how we see our relationship with the superintendent. It's not the team of 7 plus the superintendent. We're a functioning team as a group. We trust the superintendent to be the caretaker of the entire district, and with that trust really comes a lot of good, honest, frank conversations. We're in a position where we're doing evaluations of the superintendent, but honestly, I've said, quite frankly, to Dr. Terranova, I view you in some respects as a mentor. And so I learn as much from the guidance and the experience from Dr. Terranova as I give back as a board member as well, as I get from the other members of the board. So I'm not as emphatic as James with regard to supporting the superintendent, but it doesn't mean I don't feel that same level of trust and I guess respect for the work that's done day in and day out. With regard to the cabinet, I think that's an additional trust component that we really respect the relationship with the superintendent, so that whenever we want to get information, that there's always the ability to keep the superintendent connected to any conversations or discussions that are had. And frankly, we're trusting that that relationship extends beyond just the board and the superintendent, but for all decision makers across the district. That's why I love the fact that we get updates, campus news updates at the BOE meetings, and those are oftentimes foreshadowed by information that we get through open communication. We have a text string going, and we have email chains that are constantly being updated with the most recent information. So to me, it's the trust factor, it's the respect factor, it's the mentorship, and it's the ability to have open and honest communication. And to me, that's the hallmark of a high functioning board.
Thank you. Christopher?
Open, honest, trusting, and free-flowing is how I would succinctly put it. The level of trust that we have in our superintendent is without question. I was fortunate enough to be a member of the board when we hired Dr. Terranova. I remember that very fondly and very vividly. But it's open, it's honest, it's trusting, and it's free-flowing because it goes back to being a team, a group, and there will be times, there have been times, where I did not necessarily see eye to eye initially, or even perhaps at the end on an issue, but I had the ultimate trust that at the end of the day, I'm not the superintendent, right? He is not the board member, but we trust him that after all has been discussed as a board and with the superintendent and all the different, and it goes back to that earlier question I was asked, we then charge the superintendent with, and then now we trust the fact that you are going to make the best decision for the district based on all the information that we've all discussed and shared. And I mean, I've gotten a phone call from the superintendent when I was in a different state, and it was about 11:30. I remember rolling up to a hotel, and I got a call from Dr. Terranova about a district issue that we were facing. And he handled it magnificently. I'm not going to disclose all the details, but that's the kind of relationship that, one, the phone rings, it's Dr. Terranova, I'm picking it up. And sometimes it's just to say hi, but that then drives everything that we do and everything the district does, because again, it's a trickle down with the cabinet, and it's important that the board and a superintendent have a visibly trusting relationship, because that's going to keep the district moving forward when you have really challenging times.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Brian, we're going to start with you. What do you see as the biggest opportunity for our district in the next 3 to 5 years?
Well, I definitely think we've had a lot of discussion around the budget. So to me, that's really a core function, is making sure that we have fiscal responsibility and health. This is kind of a hot topic, but I think technology is moving at such a rapid pace right now, and we see AI is the buzzword, and whether we believe it's revolutionary or there's a bubble, I think we have a responsibility to start thinking about how we're going to look at the ethics and social responsibility of incorporating technology. What does that mean for our students? What does that mean for our educators? So, the 3 to 5 year plan has got to be looking at how do we work with this technology. I don't want to say fully embrace it, but let's just say that we have very open, honest, and frank discussions at all levels about how tech adoption works in an ever-changing world where these students are going to go out and be asked to use these different tools and innovation moving forward. So we have to spend the time to really think about how to invest in that. I know we've had some Python courses that we've added, which has been really exciting to see that in the district. I know we do a lot with work-based learning, so we have students going out in the field and seeing what's going on. But for our district, I think that's going to be one of the more important areas to continue focusing on moving forward, is the rapid adoption of AI technology, and what it can do and what it can't do, frankly, in the educational system.
Great, thank you.
Yep.
Christopher. Yes, so to that point, I mean, technology, it's the speed of technology, which the speed of change coupled in with the speed of trust, as far as the trust that's established with the board and the superintendent and the community. We just have to keep asking, though, whether it's technology, whether you're discussing the social, emotional health and wellness of the students and the staff, we have to keep asking the same questions every single year of what do our students need? What does our faculty and staff need? What does the admin need? What do the parents need from this district to support their family and their children? And what is the significance and what is needed by the greater community who, they might not have children, they've aged out, but how are we're the lifeblood of the community as a school system. We have to ask those questions of them. Now, we have the climate surveys. Those will go out. You'll have hearings. You'll have the conversations that are just occurring. But as far as what it's then going to look like, is the answer should hopefully end up being stronger and better than where we are currently. To be able to say, hey, look, we're doing this really well. How can we do it better? Hey, we're really not hitting the mark that we want and not aligning with the strategic plan in this regard. Why is that, and what do we need to do to change that, to fix that? Because again, that's our responsibility. That's
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, there we go. So I actually agree with a lot of what was said tonight. One of the things that I always ask myself when we talk about a 3 to 5 year plan is, and we do this in my team at work, is why do we need to be like everyone else? And what I mean by that is, let's reimagine what we can do. Let's bring innovation. To the point about technology, it's about bringing relevant electives, relevant courses, relevant community partnerships to the table, investing in that technology. One of the things that's really important that I've heard from my neighborhood, and I've been out door knocking, is a lot of parents have said that they really believe in the continued investment in modern facilities. Students like to learn in modern facilities. They want to learn where they feel like it's new, it's fresh, it's different. So I would say in 3 to 5 years, let's continue that. We've got the capital project, let's continue to build on that. But also, I would say, and Dr. Terranova's heard me say this in our committee meetings, I always talk about reimagine Victor. I am big on reimagining what the school system can look like. One thing that I've always prided myself on is being a Victor alum. When I was here, my class was the first to have all 4 years in what is now the old senior, but it was the brand new senior high when we were here. And what I loved about that is it was different. It was very different than our sister schools out in the community. It was innovative. The cafeteria was different. I want Victor to start reimagining itself again. We have a lot of pride in this community, and I love this community. And one of the things that I envision Victor being is, as we think about the 3 to 5, I'm talking probably more 5 year, but that 3 to 5 year plan really is investing in what we love here. And to Christopher, to your point there also, I like it's right here in my notes, the social emotional element too. Really continuing to build on that and continuing to build on having it be a safe environment for everybody, all the stakeholders. That's what I would envision a 3 to 5 year plan. Reimagine Victor.
Great, thank you, James.
Mm-hmm.
Christopher, going to start with you. Is there anything I didn't ask tonight that you feel is important for the community or myself to hear?
The biggest question that you asked, which I think is the most important, is the why for all three of us. Because at the end of the day, that is going to drive, and you asked it, so to your question, we could get into the weeds about a lot of, well, you know, what do you feel about, you know, how we're programming for special ed? What do you feel about work-based learning? What do you feel about absenteeism? So there are all those things where you say, well, you know, we didn't ask about that. The most important thing you asked was why. And I appreciate the opportunity that we were given to say that here, the opportunity we had with the VTA earlier, because at the end of the day, that's what's going to drive us, that's what's going to drive the board, and ultimately it's going to drive our service to the community. So I would simply say thank you for this and this opportunity to be able to share with you guys.
Appreciate it, thank you. James, is there anything that I didn't ask that you feel is important for the community or myself to hear tonight?
So I think one of the things, and I agree with Christopher, I do agree on that about the why. I think that was really important. One of the things that I think is really important too for people to hear is, and this is really a personal value of mine, is I may be a challenger sitting here, but I'm really honored to sit with these two gentlemen tonight. They are really just great people, and I'm really honored to share this stage with you. Yeah, there exactly. And a lot of great conversation. I would say also that what I would leave everybody with is this: is that I am not running to challenge what we've done. I'm actually running to build upon what we've done. I love what we've accomplished as a community, what they've accomplished as a collective board, what Dr. Terranova and his team has done. I just want to be able to have a voice at the table to talk about innovation and to be moving, you know, Victor to the, no pun intended, to the next grade. You know, I have a lot of pride in this district. I wouldn't be where I am without Victor's schools, and I mean that. I didn't grow up high income. I grew up where education, my family, my mom and I were the first two to go to college, and Victor shaped me. It's extremely personal to me. This school system, education as a whole, it's something that just burns in me, and that's why I say this. I'm truly privileged and honored to sit here with two gentlemen, I'm sorry, I don't mean to be so informal, two gentlemen who clearly believe in education as well. And so I thought it was a great conversation tonight. Oh, I'm sorry, thank you, thank you.
And Brian, if there's anything that I didn't ask tonight that you feel is important for the community to hear?
Oh, first, I just want to echo the two previous comments around the why purpose question. I feel like that's so important it's a good reflective moment as to what drives you and sustains you as being on the Board of Ed. As I mentioned earlier, the 3 years, I feel like that's not enough. There's really needs to be more work done, I think, to James' point, to keep building upon the foundation that we laid. But the question that I was most wondering if it would come up is, and I think we talked a little bit about the budget with regard to sort of what we see, but because of all of the rising costs and the headwinds and the economic conditions that we can't control, you know, I think we also need to, and maybe it's not really a question, more of a statement, take a minute and applaud the fact that we've been able to navigate that as a district and frankly, celebrate all of our wins and our successes. I'm not sure you didn't ask that question about successes by any means, but to me, I feel like that's the hardest part about being on the Board of Education is we're so we're working so hard on these really important and tough decisions that sometimes it's nice to just sit back and celebrate the win. So I kind of want to revisit the conversation earlier around having student members on the Board of Education, and we're actually going to be adding another student member, so we'll be full capacity. To me, that feels like a really big win, and that's something I kind of want to continue to celebrate as ways that we can continue to not just evolve the district to the next level or the next grade, as you said, or maybe go to college. But furthermore, how can we evolve the Board of Education to be much more meaningful, purposeful, and functional?
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. I do have one last question.
Bonus or should
James, I'll start with you. If elected, what is one thing you hope the community would say about your leadership after your first year on the board?
So that's a great question, Jenny. I would say that I would hope that the community would say that my first year as a board member was spent listening, really understanding what the community feels in my new role rather than just being on committees and a neighbor. Also, that I would hope that they would say that that I'm a critical and deep thinker. I like to be incredibly cerebral sometimes, but I don't allow analysis paralysis to come in all the time. But I would really hope that they think I'm thoughtful, that I care. My core values are about caring, compassion, and empathy. And while a community member may not always agree with how I might vote or how I think, I want them to feel like they've walked away from the conversation with their dignity and that I respected everything about what they had to say. Again, it goes back to my point earlier. I never lose sight of the fact that we are all human in this together. We don't always agree, but I would hope that the community would say that as a board member that I always respected, always treated them with their dignity, and always heard them and listened, and treated them with compassion and empathy on their concerns.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Brian, if elected, what is one thing you hope the community would say about your leadership after being reelected back on the board?
Well, I hope to be reelected. I think that would be one statement that the community would be basically communicating that you've done a good job in these 3 years. But I think to James' point earlier, it's wonderful to have so many dedicated folks who are very well qualified and could do this work really, really well. To me, that's a healthy district when you have enough people who are willing to step up and lead and take it to different places. But my hope is after the first year that they held me accountable to the things that I said I was going to do, to the votes that I had given in my role on the Board of Ed over the past 3 years and for the upcoming term if I do get reelected. But most importantly, that their interactions with me felt respectful, that they felt heard, and that they really truly believe that the work that we're doing here on the Board of Education supports the love and generosity and support that they pour into their own children day in and day out. I'm speaking specifically about the outside community, but then for members of the Victor community, that I'm somebody that they can see as a trusted advisor. After these first 3 years, I think I've got my feet wet. I'd like to start thinking about how I can step up and do more as a leader in the community here, but also within certain board organizations just to develop my own skills. And I have free time now that I'm no longer writing a dissertation, so there's that.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, maybe I'll learn guitar, I don't know.
That's going to be a big change for Stein. What I would hope that they would say if I were reelected, if I'm fortunate, I hope that I am, is that I trust him. And what I mean by that is I trust him that when he listens, he's hearing me, and that it's genuine and it is empathetic if it needs to be empathetic, or if it's discerning. I trust him with the stewardship of the district. I trust him with the relationships that he has with the other board members and with the superintendent and in support of the VTA and the students in the district. I trust him that he's going to help the district make the best decision for my child, because I, as whoever that individual is, my most precious commodity is my child. Not that the neighbors' kids aren't important, but they're sitting there as their family. That's how they have to view it, from that human lens of what's best. And I trust him that he's going to keep us focused on being fiscally responsible. I trust him that we're going to stay with the strategic plan, that we're going to monitor our own progress, we're going to do our own self-evaluations, and work in conjunction as a matter of being on a board of education. It's servants, it's servant leadership, because it is our job to serve. And so I would hope that that would also be, I trust him to serve me, my family, and my community in the best way possible. That's what I would hope that they would say.
Thank you, Christopher. And thank you for being here tonight and your willingness to serve our community. We'll now move into our closing remarks. Each candidate will have up to 2 minutes to share any final thoughts. Brian, we'll start with you.
But only 2 minutes, right?
Only 2
got it.
minutes. Or Katia will ring her bell.
I think just to reiterate some of the points that I had made, which is the responsibility at looking at our policy. I really love that we've talked a lot about social emotional learning. I think that's critical, and I think we're doing really good work there. Obviously, the fiscal responsibility, that's something that I pride myself on and certainly want to continue to be a good steward for and be supportive of in the role. But I think I've had this, I remember Dr. Terranova said to me one time, he said, the one thing that you have to remember in this role is that no matter who you are, no matter what your background is, every single parent in the district loves their child. And that is the one thing that connects us all together. And that's such a great responsibility, and it almost feels heavy, but worth carrying, because I feel that every single day as a parent. But more importantly, it allows me to empathize with some of the passion and the concerns that the community has about the district moving forward. So for me, the lasting impression is just recognizing the fact that it's okay that we have different opinions, but we are all bound together by being, I think as Christopher said a moment ago, in the service of the district and the people who send their children here every single day.
Thank you, Brian. Appreciate that. Christopher?
I don't want to keep repeating the same thing, but it's just, I want our families that whether the bus is picking up their child and they're seeing them off to school, or they're dropping them off at that Tetris game, which is morning drop-off, and the great job that all the people in the district do to make that happen. I want them to be sitting there saying, you know what, I feel really good about the fact that my child is going to Victor schools, and that the people on the board, and hopefully I'll be able to be one of them again, that the people on the board value my child's experience as much as I do, and as much as my child does. And I think that's where I go back to and make the compass point true north. That's the true north, is when I see a student, I sit there and say, what can I do, direct or indirect, that's gonna make that child go home and say to their family, you'll never believe what happened at school today. And they're just grinning from ear to ear. And I know that sounds like a Hallmark card, but it's very genuine, and that's what I would want to close with saying.
Thank you.
I would say, in closing, I think that I just want people to understand where I stand is fiscal responsibility and stewards for the taxpayers of this district, first and foremost. Secondly is just my just extreme and incredible love of the school district, and for what I do owe it. And this is the way I'm not a millionaire. I can't make a major gift to the district. Dr. Terranova, I would love to do that, but I can't do it yet. But that being said, this is my way of giving back and giving back to the community. I will make this point, well, like I said, my family is not full-time, I will say, foster parents are parents, and I absolutely understand that. I may not have children in my home right now, but I still have that absolute understanding of what it is to be a parent and care and have to navigate that. I just absolutely have to end by saying this, that this has been an absolute honor to be here tonight. It has been surreal as I sit here. I'm going to be a little human here. Growing up and being at Victor, I never thought that I would be a candidate for the Board of Education. I never thought that I would be where I am today. This is incredibly personal to me because of what I want to give back to this community, to our children. I want to be able to give our students the opportunities that I was given and advocate for those. It is an honor to sit up here with you gentlemen. It's surreal. Tim DeLucia, I remember when I met with you, I told you, Tim, you were on the board when I was in school. And that's when I really started to think about it, was all the way back then. And so I appreciate your time tonight. It didn't play the music for me, but there we go. Yeah,
Thank
so
you.
thank you very much.
And thank you all. And as a reminder, the Board of Education vote will take place Tuesday, May 19th, and we encourage everyone to get out there and vote. And on behalf of the Victor PTSA, thank you again for being here tonight, and have a wonderful Cinco de Mayo.